Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Holly Worton. I've been an entrepreneur since 1999, and I know firsthand how difficult it can be to build a business without the right mindset. This is a podcast for those of us who struggle with showing up in our business with confidence and authenticity, who resist taking big action because of fears and doubts, who know deep down that it's possible to create something bigger, and yet you're not. This podcast combines powerful strategies on how to upgrade your business mindset along with practical business tips to grow your business more easily in a way that feels aligned. This podcast features solo shows with me and also interviews with inspiring women entrepreneurs from around the world, including my monthly co-hosted episodes with Joe Casey. My goal is to help you grow your business more quickly and easily by transforming your mindset. For me, mindset work is a lifelong practice, and I want to help you make a habit out of mindset work. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now, let's get into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, episode 241. This is your host, Holly Worton, and I'm back with another solo episode. Today, I'm going to talk about what to do when you're sick of social media. Maybe you're feeling allergic to social media. Maybe you just can't stand it anymore. Maybe you dread opening Facebook and reading your feed and marketing your business there. Or maybe it's not a problem at all and you still love social media. If that's the case, this episode also applies to other types of marketing. So maybe you're sick of offline marketing. Maybe you're sick of networking. Maybe you're sick of sending out newsletters. That's kind of online. So whatever it is, if you're sick of a particular sales channel or marketing channel that you've been using or that you've been told you must use to market your business, I think you will find today's episode to be very useful. This episode was inspired by a couple of things. Back in May of 2015, I wrote a blog post called, "Do you feel allergic to social media? This might be why." It's resonated with a lot of people, and I've had people write emails to me, people that I don't know that have found that blog post somehow, and they've emailed me and said, "Thank you so much for writing this because I hate social media. I never used to hate it, but I'm hating it lately, and I just feel like I'm being antisocial and I don't know what to do." So that was really useful. So in this blog post, which I will link to in the show notes, I talked about how for the previous 6 months, I had been feeling allergic to online marketing and social media. Not allergic to it, but I just didn't feel like using it anymore. It became a chore rather than something that I really enjoyed. And that was really confusing to me because my business, one of the previous incarnations of my business, was helping business owners and authors with social media marketing. And so I thought, well, this was about the time that I was letting go of that social media marketing business and shifting into the business mindset stuff. And I thought that maybe that was my brain's way of helping me to make that transition. But then it just kept going and it went on for months. I mean, we're talking like half a year. And it wasn't until this one day I was out in nature. I was doing this long walk along the North Downs Way between Guildford and Dorking, which, I don't know, that's at least 13 or 14 miles, so it takes several hours. And it was one of those walks where I was alone and I was out in nature and I was just kind of going inward as I do on my solo walks. And that was where I realized that I had been on this inward path for quite some time. And I was on this inner journey and things were shifting. And I was doing a lot of self-exploration and work with myself, but I was doing really deep inward stuff. And so the social media marketing being outward stuff just didn't feel right because I was just digging so deeply inward. And eventually I kind of grew out of that phase and moved on and again felt comfortable and enjoyed using social media to market my business. I have always preferred online marketing to offline marketing. But recently, I've been experiencing that aversion to social media. And this is coupled with a couple of things. It's coupled with the fact that for the entire last year, I've been complaining about the online business world and how much I dislike it and how I dislike traditional marketing and how I'm really becoming disgusted with a lot of the crap that we see online in the business coaching field and just getting really dissatisfied with that. And it's gotten to the point where I was talking to a friend a few weeks ago And she said, so how are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm doing okay. Just really sick of the business world, really sick of this online business stuff, really sick of the online marketing stuff. And she said, Holly, you've been complaining about that all year long. And I realized that, yes, I have. Dating back to, I think it was middle of last year when I started doing those videos on instinctive whole brain marketing with Cara Wilde and Joanna Hennon and Kathy Ballard. We did a couple of videos, which also linked to in the show notes. One was a video where we were just talking about how we viewed marketing in a different way. And then we did kind of an online call with other people where we invited other people to talk about how we felt about marketing and how we wanted to change marketing. I think these were really interesting and useful conversations. But I think that my dissatisfaction with online marketing and the online business world ran even deeper than that, to the point where I feel like my business is shifting into something new, and I don't know yet what that looks like. I'm still kind of getting intuitive nudges on that, but it's moving kind of away from the business stuff, perhaps, and more into bringing outdoor stuff into the way I work with people. So again, more on this once I figured it out. I know I've been kind of hinting at this for a while, but I still don't have a lot of information. I love my one-to-one clients. I love working with people, using heart-centered energy work and working on the mindset stuff. But I think we're going to start working on kind of a broader perspective of things and not perhaps business specifically. Again, I still have no clue. I'll let you know what I know. But I think all of this kind of feeds into why I'm feeling sick of social media. I'm dissatisfied with the online business world. I'm dissatisfied with the online coaching world. And I'm dissatisfied with the online marketing world. Like all of that stuff is just not nourishing. It's not feeding my soul. I'm just not enjoying it. So that's what's inspired this episode. And what I would like to do is ask you some questions or give you some questions that you can ask yourself. And these are things that either you can pause the recording, pause this podcast as you're listening to it and journal the answers. Or I will include them in the show notes and you can just copy and paste them, print them out and journal on them on your own, or just meditate on them, think about them, whatever. But I think there's some interesting and useful questions that you can use to get clarity on this issue, whether you're sick of social media, whether you're sick of networking, whether you're sick of speaking, like public speaking, whatever it is that you're sick of, that's a sales or marketing channel regarding your business. So these questions, I wrote them all down and I'm going to try to put them in a coherent order as I read them out to you and discuss them with you. So first of all, what is it that you want to get out of using social media to market your business? What are you hoping to get? Are you hoping to get new clients? Are you hoping to build a big community? Are you hoping to promote your client work, your books, your products, whatever it is that you do? What are you hoping to get out of using social media? And this is really important. I think this is something that a lot of people don't think about. They just think, oh, well, there's social media is a thing. I have to use it to market my business, so I guess I'll do some stuff on social media. But a lot of people don't stop and think, why? Like, what do they want to get out of it? Why are they doing it? So that's your first question. What are you doing? Like, why are you doing social media? What do you want to get out of it? And along with that question is, are you getting it? Are you getting results? Is it working? Or is it just you putting a bunch of stuff out there and then it kind of disappears into the ether and it feels like a waste of time? So these are questions for you to answer. Next, how do you actually feel about social media? So we've titled this episode, What to Do When You're Sick of Social Media, but like you're sick of it. What does that mean? Do you just feel frustrated by it? Do you feel exhausted because you're trying to do too much? Do you just feel like a natural aversion to it because it's just not how you like to engage with people? How do you actually feel about using social media to market your business and to get clients or to sell your books or build a community or whatever? How do you actually feel about social media? Does it feel heavy when you look at your calendar and you see that you've blocked out an hour to work on social media? Or do you feel a sense of dread at opening up your Facebook feed and reading through posts? How do you actually feel? Put some words to that. I might take this one step further and say, where do you feel that sensation in your body? Does it feel like a pit of dread in your stomach? And can you give it maybe a color? Is it like a dark, murky gray? Or is it just like a black hole? Does it have a texture? Does it have a temperature? Really tap into that feeling and just kind of get to know it, even if it's a crappy feeling. I think that can be really helpful sometimes. And if it's not helpful, then don't do it. But for me, I find it really helpful to identify feelings by adding those different qualities to it because it helps me to really get clarity on it. So how do you actually feel? And next question, what's actually going on? Like, what is happening that you're sick of social media? Like, are you trying to do too much? Are you trying to post like 30 times a day on all the platforms? Are you trying to be everywhere? Like, did someone tell you you have to be on every single social network and so that's what you're doing? What's actually going on? Are you just feeling overwhelmed? Are you tired? What's actually going on when you think about using social media? Also ask yourself, is it that you hate posting on social media? Do you hate uploading stuff like photographs to Instagram? Do you hate sharing stuff on your Facebook page or in your Facebook group? Do you hate tweeting stuff? Do you hate putting out videos? Is it that you hate putting your stuff out there? Or do you dislike reading other people's stuff? Because those are two very different things. And maybe it's both. Maybe you just can't stand any part of it. You don't want to read other people's stuff. You don't want to put your stuff out there. But get clear on what is it. Is it either or both? Do you dislike posting your stuff? Do you dislike reading other people's posts? Or do you just hate it all? That's really, really important to get clear on. And if the problem is that you dislike reading other people's posts, is it because you've been playing the comparison game and losing? Now, 2 episodes ago, you might have missed it. Episode 239 was about how to quit playing the comparison game for good. So if you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend it. A lot of times when we're not feeling good about ourselves or we're not feeling good about where our business is going, we start to feel bad about the stuff that we see on social media because we see everyone else posting their amazing lifestyle, all the money they're making, all the new clients they have, all the client testimonials, and their business is fantastic. Their business is thriving. Their lifestyle is, it's so amazing. It's everything you want and you don't have. So you use that stuff to feel bad about yourself. The crappy part of your brain, the limiting part of your brain, the smallness part of your brain uses that stuff to make you feel bad about yourself. And that's the comparison game. It's just a downward spiral into a black pit of crappy crap that you just can't win that game. So if you're still playing that game, listen to episode 239. So identify that. Are you playing the comparison game? Is it that you hate social media because you're looking at other people's stuff and their stuff is making you feel bad? And is it everyone or is it specific people? Maybe there are certain people in your life that you've always compared yourself to. And so their posts in particular are making you feel bad about yourself. So identify that, really kind of dig deep into that and get clear on that. Are you suffering from burnout? Are you just exhausted? Are you trying to do too much in your business? So earlier in the questions, I asked you, are you trying to do too much? Are you trying to be everywhere? But this is a bit deeper. Sometimes we reach a place of burnout in our business, and it's just hard to realize sometimes because we're so used to just hustle, hustle, hustle. Got to get through the list. Got to tick stuff off my list. Got to do the stuff. And we're so busy on that hamster wheel, doing stuff. And we often don't stop to realize, oh my God, I'm just exhausted. And I got to that point towards the end of last year, 2017, where I didn't want to do videos. I didn't want to do blog posts. I didn't want to work on my books. Like, I didn't want to do anything. And I had this session with my coach, Lisa Wechtenheiser. And she said, well, you love creating stuff. Why don't you do something that's fun and create something new? And I said, I just don't want to do any of that. My creative pot was depleted of creativity stuff. I just didn't want to do anything. And luckily, this was right before I was going to the States for 3.5 weeks. And then after I got back, things were kind of winding down to the end of the year. So it was the perfect time, if ever there were a perfect time for burnout. It was the best time of the year to do it because business and life was kind of winding down into more of a hibernation mode towards the holiday season. But it was awful. It felt so awful just not wanting to do creative stuff, because creative stuff really gives me energy and it jazzes up my life. And I love writing. I love doing the podcast. I love doing stuff like this. But I just didn't want to do it. Like, I didn't want to do any of it. So stop and think, breathe, open your mind to the possibility. Are you experiencing some kind of burnout? And burnout doesn't have to be like anxiety, like you're in bed with colds and flus and sickness all the time because your body's just broken down. Like, there are more subtle types of burnout. Might you be experiencing that? Because oftentimes when we are feeling just exhausted and overwhelmed and burned out, we don't want to create stuff. We don't want to put ourselves out in the world because it's energy to just put ourselves out there. And towards the end of last year, I did an episode on fear of overwhelm and burnout. That was episode 226. So that's something worth looking at if you think you might be experiencing burnout or overwhelm. Also on the topic of burnout, a good friend of mine, Natalia Real, who is also a guest on this show, and I'll link to that episode in the show notes. It was actually episode 99, but recently she did a blog post, a massive, just one of those really great, juicy blog posts called Entrepreneurial Burnout, Let's Get Vulnerable. And she includes just signs of burnout, which I think is really useful. She talks about other people who are experiencing burnout, both her own stories, how to prevent burnout, and then she includes other people's stories about burnout, including some of my links and other posts by other entrepreneurs talking about entrepreneurial burnout. So that's really useful if you've been experiencing that. Next question to ask yourself, are you more of an offline marketer or networker? Not everyone enjoys online marketing and networking. Maybe you like to do offline stuff. Maybe you like to do networking groups in your local area. Some people love that. I do not. I used to dread going to networking meetings, but I thought that's what you had to do when you had a business because that's just what you do. And then finally I got to the point where I quit because I realized that I hated it and I really enjoyed online networking. But maybe you're the opposite. Maybe you can't stand the online networking because you love being in a room with other people, and maybe that's what works for you. So if you're feeling drawn to speaking engagements, going to networking meetings, going to meetups, and talking about your business there, maybe that's what you need to be doing. So stop and think what really energizes you. I get so drained by networking stuff, so I don't do it. But maybe you get drained by the social media. So stop and ask yourself, are you more of an online marketer and networker or offline? Because both ways are totally valid ways of marketing your business. Pick what feels right for you. And maybe both are right for you. And so you do kind of a hybrid model. That's totally fine. A lot of people do that. But if you don't like the social media because you like being in a room with people, then do that. It's totally fine. Give yourself permission to do that. But you've got to understand what's right for you. Next question. Is it simply the wrong time of the month? And I'm not joking when I say that. If you've been listening to this podcast for any length of time, you might be familiar with Lisa Lister. I always recommend her books, and she's been a guest on this show twice so far. Episodes 91, where we talked about cycles, and 176, where we talked about her books. So Lisa wrote this fantastic book called Code Red, Know Your Flow, Unlock Your Monthly Superpowers, and Create a Bloody Amazing Life, period. I love this book because it really changed my life. It talks about how you have different superpowers during different times of the month. I'm speaking to you as if you're a woman because most of my listeners are. If you're a man, I'm sure you have cycles too, but I know nothing about them. But women often, the first week of the cycle, have a tendency to go within. Second week is kind of like superpower, get stuff done, hyper focus. Week 3 is really good for reaching out and connecting and doing interviews and networking and that kind of thing. And week 4 is again kind of a going within week. So depending on how long you've been feeling an aversion to social media, if it's only been a couple of weeks, maybe it's just that time of the month where you're naturally going inward. Check your calendar and see where you are in your cycle and see if perhaps that's what's going on. If it's not, then at least you know. I'm going to link to Lisa's book in the show notes so you can check it out. I highly recommend this book. It's just been really life-changing for me. So take a look at your cycle. Where are you in your cycle? Next, and this is kind of related to the previous one, but maybe it's just a natural time that you're going within, not because it's that time of the month, but because your business and life or life are in transition. So ask yourself, is your business in transition? Is your life in transition? Are you simply on a deep inner journey as you're trying to find your way forward? Are you at a crossroads on your path? So like what I talked about in the beginning, about where I am in my business, things are evolving. I don't exactly know what it's evolving into, but I've been spending a lot of time doing a lot of inner work, doing a lot of mindset stuff, doing a lot of healing, doing a lot of clearing stuff so that I can more quickly and easily see my path forward. But it involves really going deep into myself. And again, when I'm doing the deep, deep, deep inner work, I don't always feel like putting myself out there because it's a very, very different energy. So it's hard for me to go really deeply within and then kind of go out. So ask yourself, are you just at a place in your life where you've got to go inward because you're trying to see how you're going to pivot in your business or life, or maybe you've got a big decision coming up? Maybe that's just naturally what you need to be doing now. So that's another thing you need to think about and ask yourself. Is this a time where you just need to go within and let go of the social media stuff for a while you get clarity? So I hope those questions helped you get clarity on the situation and the reasons as to why you might be sick of social media. I'm going to give you one more question. Might it be mindset stuff? So do you have any fears or blocks or limiting beliefs or mind crap around visibility, around your ability to market yourself, around what you do? Do you have problems with self-confidence, self-esteem, stuff that maybe you haven't addressed before in your mindset work? Or maybe you've just grown and you're at a point where you have new fears and blocks and limiting beliefs around your mindset and your ability to run your business or serve your customers and clients or market your business. So take a look at your mindset and see if there's anything there that needs to be cleared. Because sometimes everything else is fine. Social media is right for you, but you're just not feeling very confident. And if you were feeling more confident, then social media would be easier for you. I know it's not a quick fix quite like that, but that is one of the big things that I think holds a lot of people back in marketing their business. So take a look at your mindset and see if anything needs to be shifted there. So you've got your clarity on why you're sick of social media. What should you do instead? Like, what do you do about this? So here's some ideas. First of all, journal for clarity. So if you haven't done that, do it because you need the clarity. You need to understand the situation. Next, scale it down. Take it easy. Dial it back. If you've decided that you do want to use social media to market your business, then pick the one social network that you most enjoy or least hate and just focus on that and forget about the other ones. And focus on networking there. Focus on connecting with people there. Focus on putting your content out there. Focus on being social there. And maybe look at it from a different perspective. So perhaps stop focusing on just pushing your content out there or sharing links to your stuff or promoting your stuff, but rather focus on networking and getting to know people and really enjoying that one social network from a social perspective, and think about it like you would offline networking, like going to a networking group, and really get to know the people that you're connecting with on that social network. So dig deeper, make it more social. As a result of the questions I asked you before, you've decided social media is not for you, then figure out what you're going to do instead. Are you going to get speaking engagements? Are you going to go to networking meetings, meetup groups? Create a plan of things that you would rather do instead of social media that will still help you get out there, still help you connect with people, still help you market your business, but in ways that are nourishing and fun to you. Next, if you're feeling overwhelmed or burnt out or just with the whole thing, turn off your notifications. So turn off notifications on your phone for social media, on your desktop. Like, get rid of the pop-up crap that interrupts you throughout your day. When I'm working, my computer is on Do Not Disturb mode for the duration of my working hours. My phone is also on Do Not Disturb. So calls don't come in, notifications don't come in. Unless I pick up my phone and look at it, I'm not seeing notifications because it's on Do Not Disturb. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, this can be a really good way of getting rid of those disturbances that come with social media, or go straight into all of those social networks that you use and disable notifications. Mine are all disabled. So Facebook, Instagram, like all of it, it's all disabled, so I don't get the notifications, even if I'm not in Do Not Disturb mode. Like, I really go into hyper-focus mode when I'm working, whatever it is that I'm working on. So I don't want the notifications. I can't handle it. So turn off the notifications if they've been bothering you. Next idea is to get some help with social media. So I'm not necessarily saying hire a social media manager to do it for you, because I really feel like social media needs to be social. And unless you're a big corporation, I think it's important to put your energy into the stuff that you're doing on social media. So hiring a social media manager is probably not what you want. But maybe hire like a social media coach and tell them, here's what I've been doing. Here's the results I've been getting. I hate social media. Here's why. What can I do? Like, what are your suggestions? Like, hire an expert in social media to maybe give you some new ideas for your specific situation that might help you have more fun with social media or get recharged and excited about using social media. That can really help to get someone else's perspective on your specific situation. And I'm not talking about going out and reading a bunch of blog posts, like one-to-one. Just do one call with someone and tell them, I just want a new plan. I want some new ideas. I want to reignite my interest in using social media to market my business. That can be really, really useful. Finally, allow yourself to hibernate. Allow yourself to do nothing. Allow yourself to be quiet on social media, because maybe what you need is a rest. Maybe you just need to go silent for a while. Lots of people do it. On many occasions, I've seen big online business people say, I'm going to take a month off of social media. I'll be silent for the next month. And some people have come back from it and said, you know what? I'm going to stay silent for a while because I really enjoyed that. So sometimes you need to let kind of the pendulum swing the other way and go from being really active to being really silent, and then wait for it to find a happy medium or not. After a month off of social media or X amount of time off of social media, you might realize you do not want to do it again. You don't want to go back, and you want to just do speaking engagements. I don't know. This is all about finding what's right for you. So if you feel like you're sick of it, you don't want to do any of this, allow yourself to hibernate. Give yourself permission to quit social media. Make it a formal thing and announce it, or just silently fade off into the sunset. But give yourself the permission to do this, because if you don't, you won't be allowing yourself the space that you need to really just rest and recover and get a new perspective on it. And the world is not going to end if you quit social media for a month or longer. Your business is probably not going to fall apart, but it will give you the time and space to understand and think and get a new perspective on your business and how you market your business and how you want to move forward with your business. So I hope you found that interesting and useful. And I hope that you take the time to really explore those questions and see what's going on for you behind that veil of, I'm sick of social media. Like, what are the reasons behind why? Because these are important questions for you to ask so that you can clearly understand the situation. So please drop me a line and let me know what you thought about this week's episode. You can email me at holly@hollyworton.com, or you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram and get in touch. However, I'm going to be fully honest and say, I haven't been looking at my Twitter that often lately, so if you've gotten in touch via Twitter, I probably haven't seen it. So I think I'm going to check out Twitter once I get off the microphone here. But I would love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And if you would like me to give you a shout out on the show and read your comments, I would really like that. Or you can join me in my private Facebook group, Business Mindset Alchemists, and we can continue the conversation there. I would love to get to know you, learn more about you, and hear what's going on with your business mindset. If you go over to hollyworton.com/group, you will be redirected to the Facebook group. And thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to please leave me a quick review on iTunes. It would mean the world to me. And remember to visit hollyworton.com/241 for the show notes on this episode. Next week's episode is another co-hosted show with the fabulous Joe Casey. We will be exploring the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, which you know we're a huge fan of, Joe even more so than I am. It's a really in-depth, extended episode that was so much fun to record, and I can't wait for you to listen to it. It's kind of a workshop-y kind of episode. So really looking forward to releasing that. That's next week, 242, so remember to tune in for that episode. Thank you again for listening, and have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for listening to the Business Mindset Podcast. You can find more information about today's episode, including links for the topics that were discussed, at hollyworton.com. If you'd like to connect with other listeners and learn more about business mindset, join my private community for entrepreneurs at hollyworton.com/group. That will redirect you to the Facebook group. And if you enjoyed this episode, please remember to head over to iTunes and leave a quick review of this podcast. It just takes a minute. Thank you so much.